Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. I'm Robbie. And welcome to the table. Jason, it feels good to be back.
It's been a minute. Like, how do I do all this? And I went to look. It was September 25th was our last upload. So when this drops, it'll be basically 8 weeks to the day. But as soon as I sit down, as soon as we start talking, I get my whole setup here because I put all my stuff on the gaming table. I don't have the fancy setup Robbie has yet. It just kind of falls back into it, and it feels good.
Hey, happy to be here. We I would say, both have had some life things that we're working through on the other side. Sometimes, guys, you just got to deal with life. You got to handle life on life's terms, and here we are. But had the chance to head up and hang out with Jason for the week. So played a lot of games. We crossed some pretty big ones off the list.
Yeah, we did. One of them you're going to talk about, but we also did Dune Imperium finally. And I think for the very first time you ever came, I was like, we got to play that one. It's top 5 on BGG. It's one of my favorite games. Got a few, two new games, like 2 totally new games here we learned. I played, I mean, what's great is I was looking at my BG stats. So since November 10th, not including like 9 plays of trio with Christopher and Manny this past weekend, I have 15 plays of, I think, 11 different games. So I've got I've got a lot of games in the last couple of weeks. And the 2 ones I'm going to talk about as I played recently are ones first time ever, like 2 games I don't own, and it's 2 games I've only played once so far. So it's been a fun, adventurous couple of weeks.
Dude, absolutely. Well, before we dive into those, just, we got to check in. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm happy. I'm happy to finally have a couple weeks of relative normality, if that makes sense, between vending at USDC, vending at Tour Championship, having the Hydro Club Championship, you coming up, me going to Gatlinburg. It's all great, but like I'm way low on sleep to this day. I'm still low on sleep, and I'm just trying to catch up on sleep because it's all been good. So, but like I was telling Elizabeth earlier, it's like after tonight, we literally have 5 nights of nothing. And then Thanksgiving, because we're doing Thanksgiving dinner because Ryder works that day. And then it's like, I don't have anything until I go home in 4 weeks. Like because we're heading home in 4 weeks to visit family for Christmas. So like, oh my gosh, that level of peace is amazing, man. How are you doing?
Hey, we are buckling up for an insane season. But it's going to be good. This weekend's a normal weekend. Going to see Wicked tomorrow, the day you guys are watching this. I'm going to the Thursday night premiere. So excited for that. And, so a normal weekend this weekend, and then it's Thanksgiving, and then I'm in Atlanta for a Disney Lorcana tournament, and then the weekend after that is my son's birthday party. Weekend after that's a normal weekend, and then we got Christmas, New Year's. Then I'm in Richmond for a Lorcana tournament. Then I'm back in Atlanta for family Christmas, and then a normal weekend. It's just like, and I even have the invite out because that last normal weekend in January is Disc East. So, like, there's a chance that I could end up there. We'll see. I think if I had to guess, I will be passing on that opportunity for my own personal sanity. But we shall see what all occurs in that. So, we're buckling into a heavy, heavy, insane season. But thankfully, probably going to get a lot of games in along the way. So, Jason, what games have you been playing lately, sir?
There were a ton of fun ones to talk about, and we talked about off air. Like, I was interested to see which ones you were going to talk about. We've already referenced Dune Imperium. We played a game called Origin Story, the newest Jamie Stegmaier game. That's a trick-taking, tableau-building kind of one that was pretty fun. A lot of choices to have there, but I'm actually going to mention 2, I already referenced earlier, 2 games I've only played once. Both of them I don't own. So I think in my entire history doing Bards, I don't know if I've ever had any game that wasn't one that I owned as I played recently, but definitely not both. So I'm going to start off with a lighter one first. Well, yeah, I'll start with the lighter one. It's called Wine Cellar. I knew the name, but nothing else beyond this. And Wine Cellar is a super light auction set collection game, for lack of a better term. So you have 8 cards. You are going to bid on wines, but those wines are just like a rectangular card that's 8 slots that have different numbers. It could be like 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're bidding on those to put in your tableau, but you're bidding with other wine cards. And the wine card you bid in your hand, it's the exact same kind of cards, but they're in your hand. When you bid that, at once takes what's on the table, the ones we all just bid with are now the ones we're buying and bidding as well. So you put out 8 to begin, or if it's a 4-player game, you put out 4 because everyone's going to get 1. We start with 8. You're going to end up with 8 at the end of the game. Okay. So we have 8 in our hand. We all bid, and there's the cards in a 4-player game are numbered. The wines are numbered 1 through 36 on the top. So that's your bidding power. So you can never tie. It's always whoever has the highest, and you go in that order. And then the ones you just bid now becomes the ones you have. There's a symbol and a country on the wine, which becomes part of the set collection. You have private goals, but the two cool things are that bidding is bidding, and you're bidding with cards in your hand that now become what you buy. Is kind of interesting. But the super cool thing is once you put a wine down, you can only put it on top or bottom of the previous ones. You can't stick it between. So if you eventually have 2 wines, because you turn them on the sideways so you can see the numbers, because that's going to be a scoring thing. You can never inject it, so you're always putting top to bottom. Why you do that is, the reason you do that is because you're going to score diagonally from the top left corner number to the bottom right number. All 8 wines will have 8 slots, and the numbers are 1 through 8. And they'll always go consecutively, but the first number may be 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 5. So in the first wine, you're going to score the first box. The second wine, you're going to score the second box. Third wine, you score third box. Fourth wine, you score 4 box. So that's just a very interesting way to score for sure. And it's meant to be super light. It is really quick. Like you could play it in like 10 minutes if you really wanted to play fast, right? Even if you play slow, it's like a 20-minute game. It's meant to be a nothing game. Christopher Mandy got it for free from James, who, friend of the show. I say friend of the show. He probably never listened to us, but he was on the show, so we appreciate James. So he got an extra copy and gave it to them, and they had played it before. So it was very interesting because it's crunchy enough or thinky enough, because once you make your decision, it's there. Like, you can't change it, and now you're trying to pivot for that. I think I won the game or finished second because I had like a really great, I won the game. But I just got a really great diagonal system set up where it was like 7, 8, 8, 6, 8, 8, 7. Because the highest you could have in each your scoring is 8, and the lowest you could have is 1. So it's one, if I ever find it super cheap, I would absolutely add it to my collection because it's so easy. Not thematic at all. Like, this isn't a judgment thing. I don't drink at all, but I have no problem having a game about wine. This game isn't about drinking. I love viticulture. Viticulture is literally about making wine, right? One of my all time. So it's not. Yeah. It's not super thematic, and there could be any other kinds of things, but it still was really fun. And I probably had seen people talk about it, have anything on my radar. So it's one that if I ever find it cheap, I will buy it in a heartbeat. So that was fun. The other game that I played was one I know Chris and Mandy love heavily. They've been talking about it for a few months, and I watched the Dice Tower review it, and the review was interesting, and it was a very light game. I'm like, we already have so many light games, and even though it's totally different than the game we're talking about today, it's similar weight. And so I'm like, I don't really need another one of those, and it's called Harmonies. So Harmonies is a tableau builder where you're taking 3 pieces off sections that you have. You have a selection of 5 sets of 3 pieces. You take those 3 pieces and put them on your board. Very much Cascadia style, and that you're choosing and placing them on your board. Okay. And there's some rules with how you play it, but not super restrictive. There's also scoring goals that have cards that show basically you score based on how these pieces go out. Sometimes you stack higher, sometimes you stack lower, sometimes you put them together. It's an oversimplification of it, but it is light enough to be, okay, well, anyone could play the game. Not crunchy like Calico, but a little bit of crunchiness. Like, I'd say it's a little bit more crunchiness than Cascadia, because you have it's weird. You have freedom, and freedom makes it a little more crunchy. Whereas Cascadia, you can put a piece here, as long as it's touching another piece, you can put it here and here. These are basically little wooden circular pieces or hexagon pieces that you can put anywhere on your board. You don't have to place them adjacent. So because your board, Calico, because the board's wide open, you can place it anywhere. But once you place it, you can never move it, and there are some restrictions on how you play it. So on how you place those things, and there's always the same scoring for certain things, and then other scoring goals with how you line them up. Well, I want 2 grays and a yellow. Okay, 2 grays and 2 yellows, or a brown or tree, which is a brown bottom with a green top, by 2 waters or whatever. Right? It's tons of options in there. They love it. They play it a ton of time. It's one that I would never, if I ever find it super cheap or I'm giving it as a gift, I would love it, but I won't go pay full because I have so many games. I wouldn't pay full price for it, but it's definitely fun. I didn't have any expectations going in, and I definitely enjoyed playing it. So that's Harmonies, and it's you can find it all the time for like $29.99. It's a game that if I owned and we played, we would absolutely cover it on the podcast at some point.
Yeah, I was just at we try to do every afternoon my son gets out of school, and we have like a 30 to 40 minute window where I'm trying to figure out what do I want to do, like what are we going to do to make it to the afternoon nap. And so that box is beautiful. I thought I had seen this on the library board game shelves, but I would easily say, and
this is maybe half sacrilege, but I would say it's a better version of Cascadia because it's a little, I say it's light, it's a little crunchier than Cascadia, not much, like just barely more, because you have so much freedom on it. And so it doesn't restrict you as much as a crunchy gamer. Cascadia, you get kind of restricted based on the animal things that come out, and your pieces that come out. But Harmonies to me is even though they're slightly different games, is a better version of that. It's almost like a mix of Cascadia and Azul, in that you choose your pieces. Azul style is just you're taking them all. They'll be like, you take all three of your pieces and you put them on your board, but you play them and scoring them relatively Cascadia style. That's Harmonies. And the cover of the box is pretty cool, and the tons of great pieces in it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Great looking game. So we played the games I'm going to talk about. One of them, we played both of them together. One of them, a new game to both of us.
Yep.
I think we played it for the first. We learned for the first time, called Schadenfreude, which Schadenfreude is a German word for. I want to make sure I read it. Pleasure derived by someone from another person's misfortune. So the whole game it's a trick-taking game, and you're going to play this trick-taking game where automatically the rules of trick-taking go out the door, because while you have to follow suit, just like every other trick-taking game, and there is trump like every other trick-taking game, in this game, the second highest card is what wins the trick. So you are always looking at, normally in trick taking, you get the highest card of each color and you're like, all right, I'm going to get those 4 suits. Awesome. Not in this game. In this game, the 8s, which is in the 3-player version we played, that's the highest card. Your 8s are like, I'm very rarely going to win with just an 8. But whenever you win, you take the card that you won with and it comes back to being put in front of you as possible points that you're going to earn during the round. All right, that sounds interesting, Robbie. Cool. But if you ever receive a duplicate number, that's why it's possible points, because they wash, they go away. So if I win, let's say I lead with a 7 and Elizabeth plays a 4 and Jason, the only card he has to match suit is the 8 of that color. So he plays it. Boom. That's 7. I get 7 points, and the 8 and the 4 go away. Okay, awesome. I then go to lead with 7 of another color, and same situation happens. Another 8 and a 4 go. Now, I don't keep both 7s. They actually both go away, and congratulations, all of us have 0 points. Interesting. Even more so, if you play off-suit, whatever off-suit cards are represented, just straight up go to whoever won the trick. So I can look and know that, oh man, Jason has a 7 in front of him and he wins with blue, but I don't have blue. I can just play an off-suit 7 and just wipe Jason's, his 7. So bye-bye points. This scoring strategy of it seems really straightforward. And I think if the game stopped there, you would be fine. If it was just like, hey, we're going to play 5 rounds. Whoever gets the most points wins. But this is not the point of the game. That would not be Schadenfreude. That would be funny trick taking. So the way Schadenfreude ends is that you play until someone has more than 40 points. So you want to gain points, but you don't want to get too close because of the fact that people can just stick you with points and there's really nothing you can do about it. So you go through and it's like as soon as someone crosses 40, the game's going to end. So you could have a game where like Elizabeth legitimately had a chance at winning with like 12 points because Jason went over 40 and I was like just blasting right towards 40, but thankfully was able to inconveniently stop right in front of it. And that's how I won the first game. And we all played, we all looked at each other and we were like, that was an experience. We played a game. And then we played it again the next night, coming back to it. And Jason won. And I think we all looked at each other. We were like, that was an experience. We played a game. So, Schadenfreude, if you are a trick taking, like if y'all are just a trick taking group, check it out because it may be it is certainly a twist on trick taking games that may land perfectly with your group. I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's important to say that there's always going to be games that come to your table that maybe one person just doesn't really enjoy compared to others. Sometimes there is just a game that the whole group just looks at each other and goes, yeah, I think that's not for us. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time that's happened for me in a while, and that just everyone just didn't like it. I've had some games I bought in the past that writers like, I don't know, and let's just know, I don't know. And you hit it. We talked about it multiple times. I still love the uniqueness of it, right? The second highest wins, and the closest to 40 without going over is wins, and you can cancel out your points. So everything about that sounds really exciting. It just wasn't fun. I wasn't enjoying that. And there's plenty of games I don't enjoy. And I know many, because I've just followed a lot of reviewers over the years who will give their top 10 trick-taking games, and this will routinely be in like the top 5 because they just love it. And I'm like, I understand why you love it. I just did not have a particular fun time. It wasn't bad. I just wasn't enjoying it. You talked about people at the table maybe not liking the game. A perfect example is Dune Imperium. Elizabeth this day will tell you she just doesn't like Dune Imperium because she feels like she's not going to do a lot. But she's 3-0 in her last 3 games in Dune Imperium. But it shows you can win a game and still not really like it because you don't feel like you're doing the stuff. Dune Imperium's a deck building worker placement game. You're playing cards to pick people out and get the spice and get the water and go do combat. It's a lot of cool stuff. Elizabeth's like, I'm just trying to go win the game and I don't have the cards to do this stuff. So even a game that she doesn't necessarily like, she wins. And this one, each night, we're like, I don't think we're really having fun with this, right? It's not bad.
Yeah. You're stressed at the end. Like you're getting to the first round or two, you're like, okay, like it doesn't really matter because the end's not really in sight. So we're just playing cards, having a good time. And then you get to the last round and the fact that the title is pleasure derived from someone's misfortune, that's exactly how it feels. So like there's not even, I'm someone who loves gotcha type things. And I still didn't get to the end of either the game that I won nor the game that I lost and being like, yeah, this feels good. Jason is doing a thing and I'm just like, oh, you can't control anything about what I'm doing. Here's 8 points. Yeah. Enjoy being over 40. Like,
I'll say this: tough. If this game intrigues you, it is a Japanese import, and it may be harder to find. I am going to sell mine, but I'm not. It's not shameless self promotion. I'm going to put it on eBay or something soon. But it even comes like it's all in Japanese, and it gives you an English translation in there because it's purely a Japanese import. No American person has done this yet. My family brought it for me from Japan because everybody raved about it. But if it intrigues you, it may be harder to find. Just give that heads up. But it's unique and interesting. It wouldn't be in my top 10 of trick taking because I'm selling it, but I'm glad I played it. I'm definitely glad I played it. So I know when other reviewers talk about it, I'm like, okay, If people ask me, I'll give them the honest review that we just talked about. It just wasn't fun. It was interesting and strategic and a little stressful because what Robbie also didn't say was in most trick taking games, take spades, take the crew, anything, every single card is dealt out. So you know that every single card is dealt out.
Oh,
but even in a 5-player or 4-player version, every card is not dealt out. So you don't know, is there a chance my 7 is going to get taken by an 8 or not? I don't know that. If every card's dealt out and I have a 7, I know someone else has the 8, so I'm trying to play off them. And so that's not a bad thing. It just changes trick or shaking a little bit more because we're used to having every card dealt out each time. So Origin Story's that way as well, but Origin Story was kind of good because you can kind of continue to draw cards from the Origin Story deck, so you can kind of continue to add that to your hand. So I think it's a good summation. It just wasn't fun, but I'm glid I played it.
Yeah, someone's gonna love it, and it's gonna be a great game for you. But just know that there's if there's a popular game that you dislike or your whole group dislikes, like I always go to a classic that I know Jason and I both have the same story of, which was Sheriff of Nottingham. Like both of our groups sat down to play that game and thought this is gonna be awesome. Like this is gonna be a great experience.
Yeah,
and it just missed with both of our tables and missed it with both of our tables year before we even knew each other. So it happens sometimes. But what a game did not miss was Agricola, or as the board gamers out there call it, Agricola. But here in the South, we're going to call it Agricola. This is a game that has been on the list. It's a classic game. It is one that it just feels like if I'm going to say that I run a board game podcast, I need to have played this game, right? Like there's going to be a conversation occurring and it's like, oh, you run a board game, oh, you do. Like it truly, here's what it feels like, Jason, for the disc golfers who listen to our podcast. It feels like me saying, oh, I've been golfing for a long time. And it's like, oh, when did you start? I started in COVID. Like, yes, 5 years I've been invested in the sport. I've done the thing, whatever. But if you started disc golfing during COVID, like the history of the game, you don't really have. That's how I felt until getting to play Agricola. So, Agricola is a worker placement and resource management game. I want to walk on careful treads here because this is a game that I think is in Jason's top 5 of all time, most likely. And if it's not, it's certainly in your top 5 most played of all time. So Jason has hundreds of games in this, and the game that we're going to talk about today, Jason may or may not be the number 3 player in the world for today's feature game. And important for you to know this. So we played the game that we're talking about tonight, one of the first nights that I was there, and I was like, we should just continue the tour of Jason stomping us. And I want to see, because Jason has talked about Agricola before, where he just knows if he gets certain cards in his opening hand, he's just going to win. And that is the type of dominance that I honestly love to see in a board game. I think that's so funny, and I think it's great. I have the same reputation with Small World. I have never gotten skeletons in Small World. I don't care what power they have. I've never gotten skeletons and lost a game of Small World. So, like, that's the type of state I like. Those are the powerful statements that I love to see someone say in a board game because I just want to see it happen. So I was truly hoping when the hands got dealt out that Jason was going to get those cards. Like I wanted him to get those cards so bad because I wanted him to steamroll me and Elizabeth. Spoiler alert, he did not get those cards, but he still steamrolled me and Elizabeth. So it was awesome. One of the best parts about it is that in the game, you are growing a family. You're creating this plot farm with animals on it and fields and all these other things. But your family has to be fed. And I had heard so many horror stories from Jason about like, you got to make sure you're feeding your family. And then I just forgot about when he's telling me those horror stories that also most people overemphasize feeding their families to start. And because of that, like they just don't get a lot of points because they go too heavy on the food. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to make sure my family's fed. And then we were in like the second to last round. I looked at Chase Elizabeth and I was like, guys, I think I did it. I think I committed way too much to feeding my family. So I had the biggest family possible. And I still, like, I ended the game and just had all this food. And it's like, well, I guess we're having a big feast in round 10. So what are you going to do? But it was a great experience. I think it was super fun going back and looking at it. There's a lot of fun elements to it. And it's a game that I think if you play it today, you would not think to yourself, oh, this game got released recently. However, I do not think it is a game that you play and you're like, wow, this feels like, it just feels outdated. Still plays really good. Still has a lot of layers to it. Agricola, definitely one that I think if you enjoy the hobby, even if you're not a Euro player, like you don't like worker placements, because I think I can officially put myself as someone who's like, I will play a worker placement. I will enjoy a worker placement, but worker placements are not in my, like, I don't even know that I would put worker placement in my like top 5 board game mechanics that I enjoy. But it's such a classic thing that usually it's so important for a game. And like I said, there are lots of worker placements that I enjoy, but it's just not a mechanic that like wakes me up, gets me excited to get to the table. And even for a worker placement, it was so good. So good.
I'm glad to hear you, even, a week later, you still enjoyed it. You are right in that so many of the mechanics are similar mechanics to today, but if you just look at it, it's a little outdated. Now, granted, I'm getting the Awakened Realms just redid it, so it's going to look a little bit nicer. It's definitely, without doubt, it's the heaviest game we've ever played because you have minor improvements you can play. So you're looking through, at least you have 7 cards in your hand you're thinking about playing at one point based on worker placement action. You have 7 occupations in your hand you can place. You may play them all, you may not play any of them. Then we've talked about before, but in Agricola, you have to do everything. You maybe, because everything you don't do, every sheep you don't have, if you don't have any sheep, it's -1 point. The most points you can get with sheep is 4. So just having 1 sheep is the equivalent of 2 points. Yeah. Because you get 1 point instead of -1. If you don't have a cow, you get -1 point. If you don't have a boar, you get -1 point. If you don't have a wheat, -1. If you don't have a vegetable, it's -1. Every unused space on your, if you only have one field, every unused space on your board, -1 point. So you start off in the negative, not at 0. You literally start off, and that's what's funny when you play the app or anywhere else, your score is automatically minus when you start the game. Now every worker you have is worth 3, so it kind of balances itself. So we talk about some games you got to do a little bit here, a little bit there. Some games you can go deep. You cannot go deep in a single thing in Agricola and win. You can go deep-ish if the stars align, but you can't ignore vegetables. You can't ignore everything. You can I'm not even going to worry about vegetables. It's -1 point. I'll counter it because I'll get a bunch of sheep and get my 4 points, right? But you can't ignore more than one of those things because those incremental things just add up. I mean, that game I scored was 45 points. And that's pretty normal. Like you may get into lower 50s with a really good game. If I could choose my starting cards, I could definitely score in the 60s, but I'd have to hand choose the 7 cards I'm going to start with, knowing what I can do with them. I could get into the 60s, but winning scores are mid to upper 40s. And it's just it's so tight, but I was happy because that game can take a while, but including the teach, we flew through that thing. So I was very happy because it can be a long game because there's so many things you can do in it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Very much enjoyed it. And yeah, I do think that like, I would love to have like, you're the worker placement guy. You're my Euro friend. You spent a couple of years living in Germany and all of a sudden you're just the Euro guy. And so what are you going to do? But I would love to know like something for you to think about for next time we record. What are your 3 lightest worker placement games that you can think of that you enjoy? Because I think when you do worker placement, like it automatically brings a complexity to it. And even a game like Apiary is worker placement with a grok to it of empowering the workers as you take them back. So like I think that's a really cool mechanic. But yeah, worker placements in general, I just think anytime you have a worker placement, it's automatically going to be a higher sort of
because it's in the end, most worker placements are restrictive. Very few worker placements. Everybody can go to every space all the time. Now, apiary is a good example because you can go, as long as your bee is the right strength, you can go to every place every single time. But 3/4 of the board, you can go whenever you want. And you're bumping workers and you're helping them out. So, but most worker placements are that way. So by default, they're restrictive. So that by default, they're a little crunchy. One of them, I'll happily answer that question in our next episode. One of those is the last game we played here. Christmas themed game is probably the lightest. You can think about it. When I quick look, I'm like, that's super light, So,
yeah, and especially now that we've uncovered like a whole layer to it with the
spot that every worker can go to, right? To our whole point about board games with restrictive. We're talking about Santa's Workshop, which is a really cute, spot-on themed worker placement where you're elves building toys and trying to make Christmas cheer. And there's one spot that I didn't teach well because I missed it in the rule book because it doesn't say it, but it's clear it is. There's one spot that unlimited people can go to, and that's the spot for every toy you make, you have to go get this particular thing from there. And after I finished playing, while we're playing, I'm like, I think this is wrong. And then, anyway, so.
Yeah. And we got to the end and the game was decided. I feel like the game was 4 points separating.
It was 2
first to last.
I was 154 and y'all tied at 152.
Oh, it was 2 points. Yeah.
154 in a big game, 2 points at 100. Yeah. So who knows what could happen.
So, and it's wild, but I will definitely, I feel like that's one, Jason, that we maybe even should look at doing next episode is Santa's Workshop, just because it'll be in the Christmas season. And I'll go ahead and tell you, spoiler, it's going to have a really high rating from me. It is without a doubt one of my favorite holiday themed games I've ever played. I enjoyed almost every single aspect. I'm going to have to rack my brain to be critical of it, because even the fun of, I said it while we were playing, the fun of passing out resources while turns are happening was also enjoyable.
We'll definitely cover it next. And this, I'll say this again in that episode, but if anything, it's like, I'm having so much fun. It ended too quick, even though it's 9 rounds. Like, this ended too quick. I want to do more because it's just it's such a positive interaction game where you can do so many things. I just want to keep doing all the fun stuff. So, well, cool. Well, there you go. A little preview next episode.
Yeah. So, but today's episode, we're heading to the river, Jason. We are talking about River Valley Glassworks. And once again, I just want everyone to know that you could technically have a more certified person, but you are amongst River Valley Glassworks royalty right now coming to your ears. So I'm going to get out of the way. Jason, tell us about this.
Little caveat there. So what Robbie is talking about, because we haven't really clarified it, on BGA, which if you've listened to it, pops up. Yeah.
No caveat. No, number so BGA, 3 in the world.
You've heard me talk about arena mode. There's competitive mode. And River Valley Glassworks, today I am still 3rd in the world. I dropped a 9th a few days ago, but then I got a couple more wins because 1 or 2 losses will drop you. And as of this morning, I'm back to 3rd, but the 1st and 2nd guys are so far ahead of me. I can't win enough games because I can't get enough, unless I just sat there and tried to push games. So I am 3rd in the world on BGA on River Valley Glassworks. So I keep trying to get to 1st. I can't quite get there. So, all right. And those guys are like only a few points apart. So they keep kind of flip flopping these 2 dudes. And I'll play them every once in a while. When I beat them, it's so exciting, but they're still so far ahead of me that me beating them doesn't really change the difference in it. So, all right. Released in 2024. I feel like this game was released longer ago than that, but it was just last year. That's exciting. Okay. Designed by Adam Hill, Ben Pinchback, and Matt Riddle. Published by All Play. All Play is an interesting company because they're publishing a bunch of games now. They're actually the distributing partner for Druid City Games. So all of James's games. I mean, you ordered your Wonderlands War from All Play. Chris Yee's game. Yeah. Soda Jerk, which we played while you were here, is from All Play. They have a ton of games on the All Play site. They're doing a good thing out there because they're helping a lot of games we wouldn't necessarily hear from. So 2 to 4 players. Playtime is about 25 to 45 minutes, and that's fairly accurate. Welcome to River Valley. The beautiful pieces of glass that can be found along the river here have attracted the most entrepreneurial of woodland creatures to set up the shop. in River Valley Glassworks, you play as one of these pioneers, drafting glass from the market of river tiles. To do so, you have to play a piece from your inventory into the river. Each river tile can only take a specific shape, and you must play into a space adjacent to where you want to draft your new pieces from. After you pick up your new glass from the river actually shifts forward, revealing new pieces and new opportunities for future placements. You store the glass you pick up, you store strategically in your shop. Depending on how the glass pieces are placed, your score will change drastically by the end of the game. Fill in rows and columns to gain bonus points, but don't draft too many of one type to avoid negative points. That's a super high summary of it, because when we talk about setup and teach, we'll go a little bit deeper into how the game is played.
Yeah, theming wise, we'll go ahead and jump straight into the theme, because we'll come back to the setup and teach, but I was thinking about the theme of this as you were reading that, and I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that like the theme of the game is there's glass all over the river and we're just playing in it? And then it's like, oh, no. The woodland creatures are coming to remove the glass to do really cool things with it. Okay. The theming is really cute. The pieces are amazing to show this. Even the colors that they've chosen, there's several different colors. I think that the colors they landed on, because there's multiple shades of blue, there's multiple shades.
Green, there's like we call it like a mint, and then there's green, and then there's navy blue, and then like a royal blue, then like a light blue. So yeah. And I think even the colors they chose really shine on the glass element. I would say the only other game that, as I'm assembling my board, because it's a tableau builder to a degree, or not a tableau, but it's a set collection thing to it. And so I think of Sagrada as being one of the only other games that, as I'm looking down at my board, I just feel like I'm creating something really beautiful. Obviously, I haven't played Canvas, but it's hard to look at a game that you're actually creating a piece of art and say, oh, well, other things are prettier than this. No.
You know what I'm saying? It's, in terms of the pieces coming in, I think it's really well done. The shapes are really, really cool, because glass just comes in different shapes. That's all really cool. And I really do feel like every word, Valley is the only word that's in the title that I'm just like, oh, I don't know like why we're there. But you feel the glass, the river, that system is really, really cool. So we'll talk about that in the gameplay, but I just want to say, as the theme guy, I was like shocked at how well the theme carries in just the pieces.
I agree. Like it could be, and I put this in, it could be any theme. Like you could probably find a lot of things on here, but this is a good one to have in there, because it extrapolates what you're doing there between the colors. Because when you pick these pieces up, and YouTube won't quite show it, but when you pick these pieces up, you can imagine picking some of this up from a river, like a shiny rock that's been weathered down over years with the water. You kind of get that feel. We've all taken an oval stone and skipped it on the water, right? And the colors are pleasant. It's kind of, and I think I read somewhere, it's kind of like some of the colors you would see as light reflects off water for some of those stones that you're getting from there. So it's definitely, it definitely, I don't feel like I'm a woodland creature deep into that, but the theme we're doing there definitely makes sense.
Totally. So setup and teach. The setup didn't seem like it would take too long at all, because it's just a random number of it's not a random number, but it's a guided number of pieces that you're pulling from the bag. Everything's self-contained to the bag when you're done. I mean, I feel like you could set this game up in under 3 minutes if you were like really getting after it.
The
like
setup is quick and not hard at all, and you don't even got to think about when you do the setup. You just put the river pieces out, pieces. Everybody get 3. Here's your board. Let's go. Like and you can even teach while you're setting it up as well if it's like between 2 games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. So, Jason, tell us a little bit about the teach. I've never taught this game, obviously.
For sure. So it's one of those, and we've talked about a number of these games. For the gameplay is super simple. You have 2 actions you can do. One action is you all will start with, I'll step back. You all start with 3 pieces of this glass. Technically it's a pan off to the side. You'll place one glass piece from your pan onto a matching river tile. The common board is a bunch of pieces that look like a river tile that have these glass pieces on there. The shape of your piece you're placing will match a shape that's drawn on one of those pieces. You place that glass piece there, and then you take all the pieces from an adjacent tile. Place one glass piece from your pan onto a matching river tile, and then collect all pieces from adjacent tile to add to your board. We call it your glassworks. Or I'll talk about the second one, then I'll go deeper. Or the second one is there will come a point where you need to get more glass into your pan. At the end of the river, there's a lake thematically that just always has 5 pieces out there. You have to take 4 from there to put in your pan. So you're placing a piece and gathering and putting in your glassworks, or you're refilling their pan. That's the 2 actions you do. Now, the way you fill your glassworks, it has 7 columns or 8 columns, 7 or 8 columns. It has, and I think it said there's 8 colors. It has 7. There's 8 colors.
There's 8 colors.
Yeah.
And
Each column can only hold one color and must be filled in bottom to top. So once you put a color in that bottom row, you're completing row. The first row, that bottom column, if you put a yellow in that first spot, it will only be yellow in that column the rest of the game. If you put a white, if you put a pink, for the rest of the game, you're going bottom to top. If it's a new color, you just place in the next empty column on your grid. If there's ever any overflow pieces, so maybe you filled out your grid because it's 5 pieces high, your column is 5 pieces high, you put all 5 pinks there. If you ever grab another pink, then it just goes to an overflow thing that's negative 3 points. Because when you take your river pieces, when you take the glasswork from the river, you have to take every piece off that board. A unique thing, once you take all the pieces off that part of the river, that little piece, technically, if it's thematically it's flowing, so the glass is flowing, that piece of the river moves to the back of the board, and you bring out new glass on there that's randomly out there as well. So it's pretty interesting going back to the theme of it. I'm taking glass out and more glass is flowing in and more glass is coming in. So the teach is really easy. I place, shape matches, place it in the river, take from the adjacent. Okay, here's how I put it out there. I always have to go bottom to top, left to right. You can't have gaps in there. And then anything in overflow, or you gather from the lake. Now, the scoring is where it gets a little, once you see the scoring, it's very obvious, but it's a little challenging at first. Your 2 highest columns always score. Now, this is a fun thing about this is, so there's 7 rows, your 2 highest columns score, but if they're ever equal height, the furthest to the left scores, which is lower points. So on your player board, you're going to be placing these glass pieces out, and the highest, each of those columns has a number in each of the spaces. So wherever that highest column is, that last space it covers is going to be your points. So if you have a tall column if your far left one is filled out, you may get 5 points for that tallest column. If your far right one is filled out, you may get 35 points. So strategically, it's better to have taller columns over to the right because your 2 tallest will score. But if you ever have 2 that are tied, you always score the one to the left, which is the lower points. And then you will score by row. There's a little score track on the bottom that shows you how far you go. So your complete rows will score based on how far they're unbroken. So there's 7 columns. If you fill up the entire bottom row, you're going to get the 22 points. But if your next row, you only fill in the first 3, then you're going to score up to the 3. And the first row where you don't have a piece starting in the far left column, you no longer score anymore. And that's tripped up a couple people when we've played it because they're like, well, I'm just putting stuff here and there, but they didn't have a piece in that far left to start your rows, to technically be the beginning of your row, and they missed on the scoring there. So, but once you see it scored is very easy, but explaining it is kind of challenging until you kind of conceptualize how it looks on the board. And that's basically the game.
Yeah, it's definitely one that if that section just confused you, Jason talking about it, just rewind, go back to it, and then just Google the River Valley Glassworks board, and I promise you, just seeing it, have that image in front of you, and then Jason explaining it because he did a great job explaining it. It'll all click for you because that was something that when he kind of showed me how it went, I was like, oh, yeah, this makes total sense. And each spot on the board, all of those point values that he's saying are very clearly labeled on the board, which also makes it really easy to know real-time scoring as well. You can kind of look over at oh, Jason has that 4th column all the way to the top. That seems really good. And then you look down at your board and you're like, oh yeah, that's 30 points. That is very good. So you can make some adjustments and whatever it may be, with that. I think one of my favorite parts on the player on the board is that it also serves as your player aid as well. So in the bottom left, it tells you the, rarity probably is the best way to describe it. But it's how often each color is going to occur. So you'll have, as these pieces come out, the river is set up with 1s and 2s. So when it refills, there are certain spots that it's going to basically cause more pieces of glass to come into play. So there's going to be turns where you end up taking like a really heavy amount of glass because there's just a tile that's been loaded up. But then there's other times, especially near the end of the game, that was one of the things when we played is I kind of looked at Jason and I was like, were you purposely like, I'm genuinely curious, not even upset in the moment of like, did you purposely keep playing glass to lock me to one tile? Or was those just like, were you playing for your best tile? And he was like, oh, I was playing for my best tile. It just happened to place me in a place where I like could not actually, I didn't have many choices to be made as it went, which meant that I didn't overflow, but I also wasn't getting like these major turns or anything like that. So it's an interesting conundrum, even in how you play when we get down to the gameplay, because I think it's certainly a game that you could try to grok it out and really pay attention to hate drafting a little bit. But at the end of the day, just simply playing for your best out, I can promise you, is going to cause other people to have some interesting decisions to be made. And it's a lighter game, so I don't even think that it's worth, like, I think it's more fun and more enjoyable to just get another game in than sit there and spend 3 minutes grokking over one decision when it's like,
for sure. Like when I play on BGA, which I have close to 200 games now on BGA, I think I'm like at 180 something right now. I don't look at the other person's pieces they can do unless it's the very last turn and it's tight. Before that, it's just too much. Like I won't enjoy min-maxing and thinking through every possibility, because this game is not meant to be that way, because you're still relying on the randomness of the pieces that come out. And that is both a pro and con for this, because I was telling them when we played it, you just randomly put pieces out, and there's, like Robbie said, there's a rarity of it. Of the 9 colors, there's only 9 orange in the bag. And so if some orange come out early, that's actually a good thing, but there's 22 white. And so if white come out early or pink come out early heavy on the board, well, that's going to be tough, because that means we're going to put white or pink in one of our first columns. And there's going to be more white or pink that come out. And I just can't think about, well, if I put my oval one there, that's going to free up the triangle spot for Robbie. But then Elizabeth has I'm like, I could do that, and I would lose all fun I have in this if I did that every single turn. It's too much. Elizabeth was kind of trying to do that with me, and because she was sitting to my right, and I was like, it's just, you're going to hurt your brain thinking about all the possibilities, and it's still maybe randomness that comes out on the very next one that gives me exactly what I need. And so mine is don't overlook it. Don't overthink it too much. But in even the last turn before Robbie, if the right things come out for my board, I don't care what it does for him. And if I lose because of that, that's okay, because I got to do this really cool thing that I'm like, oh, I just completed this row in this column, and I'm going to get 78 points. Well, if what I did gave Robbie 79 points, I'm okay, because I don't want to do,
so be it.
Talked about before, I don't want to do the Azul method. I'm going to win by sticking you with more points. I don't get enjoyment out of that. And that is the BGA way you win on Azul, is putting that up, making that person get as many negative points as possible is how people win in Azul all the time. And I just don't enjoy that. That's the game. I don't hate on them. And so I don't want to overthink it with that, because you can do. So that's a long way of saying this game's meant to be light, and you kind of lose the enjoyment of the pretty lightness of the artwork of these cool pieces if you're over grokking it, and then you get lost in the fun of the game. You'll lose the fun of the game.
Yeah. Something that I know, Jason will often preach in a game is just make a move. Like, just make the move. And as a guy who is a heavy heavy thinker, and I would put myself in the medium speed category. I don't consider myself a super slow player, but I would not also consider myself a fast player. I think amongst the world of board gamers, I'm pretty spot on in the middle. I get frozen with AP. I definitely get hit with AP sometimes, but a lot of times I can just power through. And this was certainly a game that I could see that crossroads appearing while I was playing of, okay, how much do you want to lean in? And it was just like, no, I think that this is a game that slots in to just play it, have fun. To me, this is one that I would immediately put out there as, if you host a regular game night, this is an excellent game to add to your collection because it's a great warm up when people are arriving. Like, you could just, like I said, the setup's really fast. If people learn it, okay, oh man, someone got stuck in traffic. Let's just bang out a game of River Valley real fast. So grab the box, throw it down. You're playing 5 minutes later. And when they arrive, it's so light that you can even chat while you're playing it. So I think that people are going to be able to enjoy that as well. So yeah, I really, really liked that aspect of it. And which takes us really into the replayability in my mind, Jason, because it is extremely replayable, and that the randomness of how the glass comes out, even if you have this perfect strategy of like, oh, I want the orange and the green because those are the two highest rarity ones or whatever it may be. I want those to be my leftmost category. Well, that's all fine and dandy. Yeah. What if it comes your turn and there's not an orange or green out there? Like, or there's not one that you have a shape to get to. You got to pivot, got to rework. And that's okay if you have to pivot and you rework and you get a bad round because it's 15 minutes off of your life.
Yep. I agree. It is a game that, AP could be there, but it's restrictive in a good way. And there's only so many things you can do, because there may be points in the game where you have 5 glass pieces in your pot. So now you have 5 spots you could go. But as you go, there are going to be times you only have 2 or 1 piece. So there's literally only 1 spot you can go, or 2 spots you can go. And so it's restrictive in a good way in that I'm going to have to go here and take these 3. Or I'm going to have to go there and take these 2. Which one is better? And when I play on my board, I'm not thinking about where they're going. They're going to go where they have to go because it's already set out that I've already started these colors. So that helps with it. And like I said, the randomness of it, of how those pieces come out, will make the replayability good. Because this is a game that if Liz and I played, we could play it in, it's literally for her and I to play like 15 or 20 minutes, right? And then we can set up again. And even a 3 or 4 player game, if everybody's kind of playing, you can play it a couple times in an hour, and it will be different because sometimes you'll have a lot of the rare stuff come out early, which I always would rather have. Or sometimes you can have the very common stuff comes out and it's like, okay, well now I got to kind of, if I'm trying to win, I have to, okay, then some strategy comes in. Okay, I told you guys, I told Elizabeth or Christopher and Mandy that on BJ, I'll start baiting people. And I can tell they're newer players because you're like, oh, I'll end up putting 3 or white. I'll get 2 pink or 3 pink in a single spot when it's one of your first turns. You're like, oh, I want that right away. Well, I'm like, you're going to lose the game, brah, because you're going to go really high on pink in that first column, and your highest column is going to be 5 points. And I'm going to get 3 green down here, so give me 15 points. So there is some deeper strategy as you play it more, and you'll realize that, and it's easy to forget that. But it's in the end, it's just taking it and putting this on your board with these fun pieces that are tactile to have in your hand. That's just fun to do, and the replayability is there because it is a light game. If it was a longer game, the replayability wouldn't. It feels like the randomness of it is good, but if it was like if it's like a 45-minute to an hour game for 2 or 3 people, I'm like, okay, it's not for me because it is so light and wispy. It's definitely up there and good.
Yeah. And I think we talk strategy sometimes on these games, but I think that is a fascinating one in that when you first have the game explained to you, I think it gets really easy to look at the rows versus the columns and say, oh, there's just so many points in the rows because the rows, it's 22 points the first time you complete a row. And if I'm trying to get to the 70s, then if I just do 2 rows, like, congratulations, I'm over halfway there. That feels great. So I think that Jason mentioned this like thing to me before we even started. And that was exactly how I was going to play the game. As I thought, okay, cool. I'm just going to load up here on the light side, but then you end up with, you go into overflow and then you lose points for overflow, and all of this stuff like draws you back. So I would say that if you're listening to this and you go play with friends and they don't listen to this, that's your pro tip. And you can tell them the Bards are the reason you won, is look at columns first and foremost, and every row you get is a bonus. You're going to want to complete that first row for that 22 points, but everything after that, and makes it, which means that you need that left column to be at least cooking in some way. But I enjoy that even on the initial read, there is that layer of strategy to it that matters a decent amount. But once again, you can't always guarantee that, because you just got to play the glass that comes out. So production is really great. We talked about production a little bit with the bits and pieces at the beginning, but the glass pieces are really great. This is one that I think you could very quickly like 3D print upgraded bits to this and do something different with it if you wanted. I think there's a lot of layers to where you could upgrade this into being a very, very bougie.
For sure. There's actually the one we played was the basic retail edition. There is a deluxe edition that's all dual layered. So all your glass pieces, your Glassworks shop is all dual layered. The pieces are a little bigger and thicker. The River, it's actually a play board, and the River pieces are like clear acrylic that you would pick up and move down. So, but that deluxe edition is like $70. This game is not a $70 game. This game is a $20 to $23, $25, $30 game. If you bought final sale, it is not a $70 game. So it's not one that I would, I like if I ever see it on some crazy sale, I would buy it, but I would, as much as I love deluxeified games, it is not heavy enough game for me to buy the deluxe version. But if you're a 3D printer, there's all kinds of, if you're a person who 3D prints, there's all kinds of fun stuff you can definitely do. I have no doubt.
Yeah. And once again, I think this is a game that I could see a game like this becoming something. Like I think for my group, one of our games that is such a low budget game that just gets played. Two games that get played a lot in our friend group are the Super Mario Bros. Card game. Gets played a ton. My cards are getting worn in. And Zombie Dice actually is another one that we end up playing a ton, because they're just like very light, very easy. Oh, we want to play one more game. We want to keep hanging out, whatever it may be. Let's pull that game out. I think River Valley could become, if you plan on starting a game night with your friends anytime soon, River Valley could be a great one to include in your collection. And it could become that. And then one day, you know what? Y'all just pull together and you're like, hey, for Christmas to ourselves, we're getting the deluxe version because we play this every week at our game night. But I agree. I think the $35 version gives you every bang for your buck. So, Jason, number 3 player in the world.
Yeah, I will.
You want to start us off on our cookie scale?
Because I thought about this, and what I'm going to say is maybe a little shocking, right? But this is not a double doozy for me. As much as I raved about this game, on BGA, it's a double doozy because I can play really quick and I can play a lot of games in. But to me, it's a chocolate chip, and like that's a bad thing, right? There's nothing wrong with that. A game that I'm good at, that I enjoy playing a lot, but it's not a game I am necessarily itching to pull out, right? The next time you come up, we're not going to pull out River Valley Glassworks, right? Well, Christopher Manny, unless they want to, we're not going to pull it out, but we played it to play it, and we played it with Elizabeth's co-worker, Ananda, and her husband, Hunter, and I can't remember if we played with Dakota or not. If we haven't, I would play it with him, but I like just play it once, just to play it, because it's a lighter game for folks like that. Now, 15 years ago, it may be a double doozy for me when my kids are young and we're having fun playing this light game. So it goes up to, I think I said 4 players. It goes up to 5 players. I said 2 to 4. It's 1 to 5 players because there's a solo version. I thought I had that number wrong. So like there's 5 players, but I'm not, I am not saying this just to say it. 15 years ago, if I have this game, we're going to play this a ton with the family because it's quick, it's easy, it's fun, it's the rocks, it's pretty, the artwork's really cute, all those things. It's a double doozy. I would not be shocked as a double doozy when my kids are 8 and 9 and 10 and 12, right? But right now it's a chocolate chip, and it probably was a peanut butter when I first bought it, and just playing on BGA, and not just because I'm third, but it is icing on this proverbial cookie. It is the more I play it, because I get so many games in, I get that enjoyment, and I enjoyed it when we played with you, but I wasn't itching to initially turn around and play it again. But because of where I'm at in my gaming life. Now, there is I haven't played with him yet. There's a mini expansion that lets you just do little things that give you some extra powers. This will make the game that much better for me to play more on a more routine basis because there's stuff that happens. So don't let that rating. I mean, Chocolate Chip is still really good. Don't let my feedback come across in a bad way because it is a great game, and it won't leave my collection anytime. Like I won't sell this at any time. It'll be there for a while, like some of the other games that are in my collection. But it didn't quite hit that double doozy mark.
Yeah. I was very curious with where you were going to land on it and I think that you nailed it on the BGA side because it is, you can blast through a game of this on BGA so fast. And one of the things about it, if there is like the upkeep that happens during the game can happen really, really fast. So if you have two people that are somewhat committed to like helping the upkeep, that also is going to help your gameplay experience go really well. Because while one person is taking their turn and setting the things and doing the thing on their board, if the other person's tackling it. And I think that's where Jason and I kind of landed when we were playing in person, is that I feel like it was most often like whoever was moving the river tile and sliding everything else down, the other person was reaching in the bag to put the new glass on there just to keep the thing flowing, and in an automated system that does that. So for me, it's also going to be a chocolate chip. No surprise there. I really enjoyed it. I think that once again, if I had discovered this game when it first came out, had a regular game night going, and I think that it is certainly one that we would play a lot. It's one that I'm going to tell my wife that they definitely need to get at the library because, like you said, families would enjoy this. I could see this being a game that is in the children's section. I could see this game being a game that also has a copy in the adult collection, just because it does fit both criteria. It's really fantastic. And yeah, once again, I'm not walking away from a game of River Valley like, ooh, I just mentally dominated the whole table. Get wrecked, guys. But it is definitely one that like I'm going to enjoy when I get a win out of it. I'm not going to say when I win in Zombie Dice, I don't walk away thinking I outskilled people. I walk away in Zombie Dice and I'm like, man, I just rolled dice better than all of you. Get wrecked. Like I'm going to walk away from River Valley knowing that, okay, I drafted well. I did the things. I played the pieces that came out. This is something that I'm going to feel good about. Once again, I'm going to feel way better if I win Agricola, and that's just if I'm playing Agricola against anyone, not even the number 3 player in the world. So like,
you're so right, because the fun of the game is drafting those pieces and putting on your board and having good things come out and building synergy. And if you're stuck with white and pink early, well, okay. Like now you kind of work through, okay, can I get some other colors further down? How challenging can it be? When I play with Chris Romani, that I went deep on a color that was common early just to see if I could come back and win. I didn't win. I made it close, but I didn't win because Christopher got a really good couple turns at the end because the randomness, and that's good because that those chance things come out. But the fun is, did they leave me 2 whites, a blue, and a green? That feels perfectly. Or there's 3 pinks and 2 greens, and I don't need any of those. But the fun of that is building those good things on your board and looking down your board and seeing, without being silly, seeing the pretty colors on your board. It's just fun because it's not just like little bitty cardboard pieces or these little plastic pieces that look great. So it's definitely high fun value. Talking about playing fun. Schadenfreude, I just wasn't having fun, right? I have fun doing this because of the tactile nature, and it's not necessarily worker placement, the same thing every time. The board is constantly changing, and that's always a fun thing.
Totally. Well, y'all, thank you for tuning in. It's good to be back with you. And we definitely tried to make sure that we filmed this week because next week obviously is Thanksgiving for those who
I don't know if we have any non-American viewers.
Yeah,
we haven't had.
Yeah, right. I realized as it was coming out, I was like, I don't think that we're super international right now, but
one day.
So, BGG Con. Board Game Geek Con is what I assumed is happening, but there is a con happening this weekend, I believe, in the board game world. I didn't realize the Board Game
Con
Geek
has one,
con,
but I think PAX Unplugged is actually this weekend. So, yeah, I believe it's PAX Unplugged is this weekend.
Gotcha.
Yeah, PAX Unplugged is this weekend, but BGG does have their own con. They even have their own cruise. You know, a lot of people do cruises now. Dice Tower does a cruise. BGG does a cruise. But PAX Unplugged, which is in Philly, right up the road, it's actually closer. Technically, Philly is closer to me than Indianapolis. So if I ever want to go to a convention that's a closer drive, it's actually Philly. But it's right up the road. PAX Unplugged. Well, I mean, but Gen Con is the biggest one in North America, so it makes sense going to something like Gen Con. Anyway. That was this weekend. So if you're at PAX Unplugged while you listen to this, I hope you're having a good time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks as we head to Santa's workshop.